I've been thinking. A lot of people are in debt. Debt up to their eyeballs, if you will. That really stems from a lack of knowledge about what it takes to be debt-free, or better yet, what it takes to grow your wealth with any amount of debt that you have. So I wanted to talk about the best ways to flip the debt spiral. Thinking outside the box a little bit, to use debt to your advantage, to help to grow your wealth, instead of constantly being backed into a corner, having to pay debtors and creditors and all that good stuff. So let me talk about one of the first ways I think you should do that. My biggest, probably controversial take on debt is that you should have more of it, not less. Now, what do I mean by that? As somebody who studiously avoids being in debt, someone who has taken the time to get out of debt, about $65,000 to close to $70,000 worth of student loan debt, to having well over $500,000 in net worth. Why would somebody advocate for getting into more debt? Well, not necessarily getting into more debt. I'm talking about purchasing more debt. What do I mean specifically? Well, I'm talking about things like certificates of deposit, bonds, asset-backed securities, mortgage-backed securities, things like that. Oftentimes, you don't think of debt from the other side of the equation. And this is why I talk about flipping the debt spiral. You think of debt as grabbing a credit card and going to your favorite luxury goods store and purchasing a Louis Vuitton belt, or getting a 5-star meal at a 5-star Michelin restaurant. You think about taking a vacation to the Bahamas or some other exotic location that's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. All of that on the back of your credit card. Well, there is that kind of debt, and a lot of people choose to live that way. Who am I to stop them? I, however, can fund that lifestyle by purchasing their debt. How can I purchase their debt, you say? Well, you can do things like exactly what I talked about. Buying things like asset-backed securities, mortgage-backed securities. There are specific ways that you can do that, and I'll be honest with you, those are definitely advanced investment instruments. But if you're in the know, and I can talk about them more in a separate video, those are the kinds of things that you can definitely get into if you want to flip the debt spiral. Getting a bit more vanilla advice, you're going to want to avoid large debt outlays. I just talked about a couple of them a second ago. Vacations on credit, expensive items in general on credit, electronics, clothes and accessories, purses, belts, especially luxury versions of these things, shoes, automobiles, home. I'm the kind of individual that advocates for keeping your living expenses as low as possible, particularly if you want to grow your wealth, and particularly for as long as possible. The truth is, as your assets and your wealth grow, you're going to have to upgrade your lifestyle in some manner or shape or form, especially as you get into the larger asset outlays. But the idea is you want to keep your expenses low so that you have enough room to invest and save. And one of the things that people run into, one of the issues that people run into, is that as their income increases, their expenses and their taste in goods and services increases as well. And that causes a lot of people to overpay, particularly when it comes to homes that you live in, your primary residence. So basically avoid that the best that you can, if at all possible. Try and live in as meager accommodations as you can. It's going to be tough for a while, particularly if you have a significant other or kids or anything like that to kind of give you impotence to increase your outlays, your financial outlays. But nevertheless, you need to think about these sort of things and have these communications and these conversations with your family and with your significant other to ensure that, hey, we have long-term goals here. Long-term goals of being the best and being in the top 1%. So that's going to take some sacrifice now, but it's going to pay off later. But another thing you want to do, if you want to flip the debt spiral, is to not be basic with your debt. I talk about things that people get into when they are basic with their debt, right? They purchase vacations on credit. They get homes that are too expensive for them using mortgages. They purchase cars that appreciate quickly as soon as they drive off the lot using car loans. Again, nothing wrong with that lifestyle. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the first point, you can take advantage of those people. Well, it's kind of a bad way of putting it, but you can take advantage of that lifestyle that's being pushed today by purchasing the other side of that debt, i.e. bonds, namely credit default swaps, asset-backed securities, things of that nature. But also, if you're going to get into those luxury items, if you're going to increase your lifestyle, or if you want to enjoy the finer things in life as your income grows, you can do it And you can do it safely, and here's how. You want to use credit card hacking techniques and credit hacking techniques. I came up with one that I call my super secret patent pending credit card technique. Okay, so maybe it's not patent pending. It is pretty cool, however. So here's how it goes. You want to prioritize the items that you want to splurge on. But before I get any further into this, there's a key point that you need to understand. No one can afford to buy everything. Even Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, whoever it is that you think of as the, rich person that you should, as a person of influence that you should emulate. None of them can purchase everything that they want to purchase. They all prioritize things that help to grow their wealth or that they're passionate about. So you have to do the same. You want to pick something that's important to you. You then want to select the time frame. And in this instance, right, the thing that's important to you is going to be, a good or a service that you want, like a vacation or luxury outlay, like a Louis Vuitton belt or bag or whatever it is that people are buying these days with their credit card money. But you want to select the time frame that you want to purchase it in. Do I need this thing this year? Do I need this thing this month? Do I need this thing in 6 months, 2 years? Pick the time frame. And here's what you want to do with that time frame. Save the money for the item in advance. Monthly, weekly, whatever the time frame it is that you're looking to get this item in. Take the time, get the discipline to save the money before you make the purchase. I know what you're thinking. Why would I save the money if I'm using credit? Well, this is where becoming an advanced credit card user, a credit card hacker, comes in. You see, if you plan in advance, you can take advantage of both credit card offers, credit card points, bonuses, things of that nature. And you can use those things to your advantage. And the saving part is not really as bad as you think. There are different ways to save and save in an advanced way. Now, I'm sure you know of high yield savings accounts, but there are other instruments out there that can help you save even quicker. Things like CDs, certificates of deposit. And those techniques are especially powerful and potent if you ladder those instruments. High yield savings accounts, notwithstanding, but CDs. You see, certificates of deposits, they have a term with which they mature. And when that sweet APY comes back into your account. If you purchase multiple CDs over a period of time and stagger those individual CD investments, the money from one rolls into the next, and the money from those two rolls into the next one after that, and the money from those three rolls into the next one after that. There's definitely a lot more to be said on this, and I believe I have a video on that on my channel somewhere, so definitely check it out. The savings part isn't that bad, especially if you plan ahead. But here's when it gets really cool. When you hit your savings target, you then purchase the item with a credit card that you already have or that you were planning to get specifically for this outlay. And once you purchase the item that you've been jonesing for, the item that you've been craving, you then pay it off immediately, the full balance. The reason you do this is to avoid getting hit with interest charges. In other words, being on the wrong side of the debt spiral. It's a really cool technique. I cobbled it together from various credit card hacking techniques I learned over the years. And I'm sure it'll be a benefit to you if you have the discipline to execute. Another thing that you want to do is you want to pay upfront as much as you can. Now, if you have large debt outlays, a car, a mortgage, you want to pay these things upfront at the beginning of the year. It'll take some sacrifice, but it can be done. And again, this is going to take a little bit of planning. So you need to determine how much a full year's worth of payments is going to cost you. And this is typically pretty simple. You just take what you pay now month to month, and you multiply that number by 12. So for example, if you have a car loan that costs you $800 a month, there might be a cheap car loan now thanks to inflation, but you just take 800, you multiply by 12, and now you have your full payment of, let me see if I can do math live here, 8 times 12, 8 times 8 is 64, so 8 times 2 is 16, carry you 1, $9,600. So for your car, and that total is $9,600, I believe. I'm sure maybe if I got that wrong, I'll sure put a number somewhere on the screen here. Basic arithmetic, right? But once you have that number, now you have to save it up. Now we talked about savings techniques a little bit earlier, and there are more, and I can definitely get into it in a separate video. But there is an upside to doing this you're probably not thinking of, and that's the psychological upside, as well as the discipline. Having a goal, a savings goal in particular, all that takes discipline to execute. And frankly, discipline is the number one thing that people who are self-admittedly bad with money, that's what they tend to be missing. When you pay up front, it gives you room to pay extra as the year goes on. Now, it can be said that you can pay extra on your bills month to month. If you take the amount that you're paying extra month to month and you calculate it up at the end of the year. So for example, if you save up the $9,600 to pay upfront for the full year, and you're still paying on your car loan at the same time, you effectively will be paying double the payment that you're paying right now, right? The bill that you're paying right now plus the amount that you're saving up for the next year. So you could technically just double up what you're paying right now, and that, technically speaking, would be mathematically similar. But like I said before, this technique is more about building the discipline to save and building the discipline to make big payment outlays and to make big payments on your debts as often as possible. And if you have the discipline to save up that money and to pay off early, and you pay a little bit extra as the year goes through, you're putting yourself in the position to also pay down interest earlier. And ultimately, that's gonna save you money on whatever debt you have in the long run. So just a couple of techniques here to help you get on the opposite side of the debt spiral. That's all I have for you guys today. Remember, a goal without a plan is a wish. A goal with a plan and no action is a wish list. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm sure I got it on the screen up here somewhere. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell. This is Derek West for Finance Squared. I'll catch you later. Peace.